Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists.
All right, welcome to EnVision Center News. Today on the show, we have Lisa Bond from the Sandpoint Area Seniors and Paul Graves from the Geezer Forum and from Elder Advocates. And welcome, you guys.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So I want to let you begin, Paul, by just first I want to say thank you for all that you've done for our community and to announce that you're leaving. And so we're doing this because you came on how many months ago? You came on the podcast and we talked about.
I don't remember, but.
Oh.
And I really don't remember what I said, so I'll probably say it again.
You're having a senior moment?
No.
Nope. Yeah, we talked about the Geezer Forum, how it came to be, about elder advocates, but I think let's talk about it again. What was the initiation of all of this, and give us a little rundown on what you've been up to.
Okay. The Geezer Forum was something of the culmination of my work through my elder advocate consulting service that started in 2005. I'd been involved in geriatric social work since '96, after I left parish ministry. And in 2005, I left Life Care, where I was the social service director. And 6 weeks after I left, I thought, I still need to work with older adults, and in particular, the adult children of older adults. I discovered in my work in the nursing homes that the adult children lived with a lot of false guilt about putting mom or dad in the nursing home, and I wanted to counteract that a little bit by sharing with them some of the experiences that I've seen. Some people would be upset even if they had to put dad in the nursing home for 2 weeks of rehab. Well, that's not healthy. So I started Elder Advocates, and part of that time was spent in writing about older adults. I like to think that I tried to help navigate people through the maze of elder care. Mm-hmm. In January 2009, I started my aging column in the Daily Bee called Dear Geezer. And because I discovered that the word geezer itself was, besides a fun word to say, it wasn't what we normally think of as geezer. It has a negative connotation. And I discovered that its root meaning is an old, like a late 15th century, a 15th century English word meaning disguise.
Okay.
So I thought, well, then a geezer is somebody who has a hopeful, positive attitude toward life and lives in the disguise of gray hair and wrinkles. Pretty simple. So I started writing the Dear Geezer column. A couple of years later, I began to think, this is kind of fun, but I'm not engaging in conversation as much as I want to with older adults. So that's how the Geezer Forum idea was hatched, and we started that in January of 2012. And with the exception of the COVID period, we've done forums. Before COVID, we were twice a month. After the COVID endemic eased up and we got back into it, we've just been doing once a month. Mm-hmm. But we've just had a great time talking about issues that relate to older adults living healthier lives.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about those forums. How many people are typically in attendance? And what are the topics that you guys like to cover?
I think probably overall we've had probably 30 to 40 people, depending on the topic. Sometimes it's much less. Sometimes it's way more. Mm-hmm. I think the largest group of folks we had was 89 or 90.
Oh, wow. What was the topic that time?
Of dementia. And Dr. Meg Skibitsky, the geriatrician here in town, led a really informative and fairly easy conversation
Very nice.
about what dementia was like. I like to indicate that the one forum topic that we go back to every year is on Medicare enrollment. That happens in October before the Medicare enrollment period starts in mid-October.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been very helpful for people not only who are new to Medicare, but also are veterans and are trying to keep up with the changes.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
We've had information meetings. I believe very strongly that people that older adults need to see themselves as geezers in training, with the attitude that learning is lifelong. If it isn't, they're missing out on a great deal,
Mm-hmm.
both for themselves, but also learning about the community. We've had topics that had nothing to do directly with aging, but more to do with what's going on in the community.
Sure. Yeah.
And in November, we had the Hutchisons who are doing the carousel.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really helpful information, but it's so much fun.
Right.
And I think it generated some good momentum for the people who were there. Oh, I need to go check that out.
Yeah.
And maybe once they get things started, I can ride a horse. So, we do those kinds of things, but also a lot related to health, how to talk to your doctor, how to let your doctor know that you're not going to be a victim of ageism. So you stand up and ask the questions you need to ask
Mm-hmm.
in order to get the information you want.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a number of topics that we've done that way, and we've over the course of these years we've covered a wide variety, and there's still more to cover, and also to cover again.
Yeah. Right. Just because you've talked about it once doesn't mean that it's sunk in, or that you don't have
Far
a new
from it.
group of people that are there, or that you've just scratched the surface.
Right.
So you guys had a geezer forum just this week. Can you tell me about
Yeah.
that?
Let Lisa tell them.
Yeah, Lisa.
Well, first of all, let me just say to Paul, and I'll say it publicly as well, Paul has been so gracious and also very, I would say, generous with his time and his patience with this transition of the Senior Center taking over the Geezer Forum. I've learned a lot in the short period of time that we have had conversations, and we've been talking about this now, I don't know, Paul, maybe a month or two, really
Couple months.
not too long.
Probably.
And so ultimately we started kind of coming to the end of, wow, this is really going to happen. And also we need to thoughtfully and graciously bid Paul a beautiful farewell. So on Tuesday, roughly 80 people or so showed up at the final.
I like your count better than the one I had.
Did you have?
What was your count, Paul?
Well, I didn't officially count. I just sort of looked at the tables and the rough number in the room. But it was an opportunity for people in the community to say thank you to Paul, and also some very heartfelt messages about what people have learned and what they've gained from their time of coming to the Geezer Forum, but also folks who had worked with Paul in other capacities in the community through hospice and his time as mayor, and really most anywhere that Paul went, it's apparent that he leads with his heart. And so it was a great opportunity for people to be able to say that at the gathering that we had on Tuesday.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
How did it make you feel, Paul?
Embarrassed, for one thing, but very, very warmly accepted.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I didn't learn anything new about the things that I've done and forgotten. There were some wonderful stories told that I was privileged to be a part of, and it's good to know that in some small way I've been able to make a difference.
Yeah, I would
In the
not say a
community.
small way. I would not say a small way.
Yeah.
So speaking of stories told, I think that what I'm really excited about is this idea of bringing the Geezer Forum onto the airwaves of a podcast and kind of having fun with it and taking that geezer term and making it something that can be a little bit playful and sharing these stories of people that are aging and letting them share what's gone on in their lives, as well as some of those topics that you've talked about that happen at the forum, but putting them onto the podcast so that they can be shared in that realm as well. Hopefully working towards, maybe seniors who are in isolation or folks that are looking to get, into the digital world and to connect over the internet. So I think it should be really fun to kind of see what the Geezer Forum becomes 2.0.
I've appreciated in the last week or so a question that Lisa asked me, and that is, who over 65 would you consider to be influential members of the community? I thought that was a great question, and I've been feeding her names as best I could because there are a great number of geezers in training who are active in the community. They may not be visible leaders, but they're strong in their support of leadership and of agencies, mostly nonprofit agencies, who are trying to make differences in their own way, whether it's related to older adults or not. I'm just thinking of one lady who works out at the food bank a couple days a week. She's over 90, and she just loves what she's doing.
Yeah.
Because she knows that her smile and her assistance with participants at the food bank makes a difference.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a list.
We do. Well, the list has started, and I will say, just to tag on to that, the face of aging has changed significantly through the years. It's not just because we live longer. Part of it is that we experience a little bit better health, I think, maybe than our grandparents did and great-grandparents. And so people are still very active in their lives. Many of us still working. Many are raising their grandchildren or finding themselves in different circumstances than they expected at this age. But the most fascinating part of being at the Senior Center, which I'm coming up on a 1-year anniversary of being there, is sitting at the table and hearing stories about what people did in their lives. And so when you're breaking bread with somebody at the Senior Center and having lunch and realizing the woman who seems very quiet and shy and really only talks to her friends around her was a pilot, and not just a pilot, but an adventure pilot. When I hear stories about what people have done in their lives and where they've traveled and the nuggets of information that they carry around with them, the whole point of really my excitement about the podcast is getting those stories told and really finding those gems of people who may have something to share that will inspire and influence the next generation, hopefully the next 7 generations.
Right.
You never know.
Right. I love that too. I absolutely love it. I just think that so much can come out of a simple question, a little
Yes.
conversation, having the platform and the ability to say that, to open up. And then what else I love about this is behind the scenes are our youth, right?
Yes.
We have high
Yes.
schoolers that are listening to this, and we're going to bring more through our podcast studio, and it's going to, it's going to resonate with them and might
Yes.
formulate the way that they look at the world and the way that they want to start leading their lives, which
Sure.
is just fantastic. You never know, right?
No,
You never know
and
who's
what better
listening.
way but through storytelling, right?
Yeah.
I had a memory of a question that I've asked for a number of years that I am glad to share with you. It may be a good starter question for some people. What's it like being your age?
Yeah.
I started asking that some years ago, and the first person I asked was a young woman in her late 20s, and she told me. But what I was mildly disappointed in, she didn't reciprocate and say, "So what's it like being your age?" I say that only because curiosity has to be
Reciprocal. Yeah.
reciprocal, yeah, in order to be helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely. What is it like being your age?
Not as much fun as I thought it would be, and it's mostly because I've got some relatively minor health issues that slow me down, but other than that, I'm an excited senior or a geezer in training, and Sue and I are hit in a month today, as a matter of fact. We're headed to the Portland area to live just 5 minutes from our son and his family. And we expect a great number of adventures.
Yes, absolutely. How old are your son and then grandkids?
Our grandkids are 27, 25, and 21.
Okay.
And two of the two older ones, our granddaughters, live in the Portland area doing their work. And then our grandson is a senior at Western Washington in Bellingham, and he'll be going to graduate school for a master's in social work. They're all involved in some kind of helping profession, which just thrills us.
Yeah, fantastic. So you'll get to spend lots of time. You'll get nice and close.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
See all those milestone moments.
Plus we're moving into a retirement community that was just finished fairly recently. The first residents moved in the end of November, so we're part of the first wave, and we think it's going to be kind of fun helping to develop a retirement community culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just going to be fun.
The last time we all sat, we had talked about how we'd watched that Ted Danson show.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to watch
Yes.
it now?
Yeah.
Delightful.
It's
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the second season.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so that's going to be you. You
Maybe.
and your wife. You guys are going to be creating the culture.
I think, yeah.
Is there any fear or reservation?
Not fear, but some reservations in terms of are they going to believe what I believe about aging, or if they don't, how can I convince them that I'm right?
What do you believe about aging? The lifetime learning?
That's part of it. One of the things that I've been discovering, Katie, as we have been getting ready to move and talking with people, is I've got a deeper sense of gratitude, and I hope that aging is a part of that dynamic. I think it is, and it's not just gratitude for what other people do for us or with us, although that's been great. It's hard to say thank you. We're just as it's just as difficult for us to receive as it is for a lot of people. But the gratitude is also again, a reciprocal effort. I am so thankful that I can, or grateful that I can keep giving to other people. My hopes for them. I'm meeting with a lady next week who fairly recently lost her husband, and we're just going to have a simple conversation. She's going to tell me what she wants to tell me, and I'm going to love her the way that she lets me love her. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you do, Paul.
Definitely. Lisa, so you're going to take over this Geezer Forum.
Well, with big shoes to fill.
I was going to
might
say,
add.
are you a little overwhelmed?
Well, I wouldn't say overwhelmed. I'm humbled very much and excited. And for some time, I've been thinking about this concept of what it means to support healthy aging. And one of the things we battle against in our quest to help older adults is the culture of not only ageism, but a billion-dollar industry of anti-aging, something to be afraid of, something to avoid. Those people over there are the ones who are getting old. What I loved about yesterday or Tuesday when we were having the gathering is I looked around the room and there was a lot of white hair, right? People are embracing and saying, I just am who I am, and yes, I'm aging, and whether I'm 70, 80, or 90, I know an 80-year-old who's running a marathon coming up, the Boston Marathon, no less. We're different. But those of us who aren't as fortunate or who have health issues or are going through particular difficulties in their lives, really the way we survive this is through community and connection. And it is very important for people at this age to remember when they're no longer raising children and they're no longer, maybe sometimes not with their spouse anymore, or in a different city, in a place that they didn't expect to be, to continue to search for your purpose and to understand that having something to wake up every day for, and I'm not talking about big P purpose, as in you have to change the world and you need to be a national leader. Sometimes your purpose is to walk next door and say hello to the little 5-year-old in your neighborhood yard and just have a conversation and ask them, what's it like being 5 years old, right? What is it like to be you? And if we continue to be curious and we understand that we have a purpose through community and connection, that's really where it's at for me.
I love it.
I wish I could have said it that well.
Well, we can't all be Lisa.
That's true.
Stop.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for this being the first of our Geezer Forums.
So exciting.
I can't wait. I really can't wait to dig in and pick out some questions that we ask all of our guests.
Yes.
We'll have to make an intro and outro. We'll pick some cool music.
Right? I love that.
Do you have any tips or do you have any requests for questions we ask and or music we play?
I don't think so, but I do want to say, when I heard the two of you talking about this Geezer Forum podcast, I really got excited. I think it's just going to be a delightful and informative, but also affirming experience. If I just want people to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a great tool. It's going to be another way for people to connect and to communicate and to be involved in community, whether they're in person or they're listening or, just sharing these stories. I mean, really, they can go on forever, which I think is just so
And
fun.
I think the song should be When I'm 64 by the Beatles.
Oh,
That
fun.
would be a good one.
Okay, let's do it. I don't
All
know
right.
if we have permissions. We'll find out.
All right.
No one will listen. Well, for a while.
It's not, well, actually, it is probably public domain now.
Because they've all passed and there's
No, well, they aren't all passed, but just the time.
The time.
from
the time
when-
that it's...
Yeah,
Okay,
check it out. Yeah, that's such a fun song.
Yeah.
there we go.
Light and airy.
There we go. All right. Well, next time you hear from us, you'll be hearing the Beatles when I'm 64.
All right.
And who's going to be our first guest? Do we have a...
Well, I mentioned the marathon runner, and I'm really working on her because her story is fascinating. And I don't know how it is that at 80 plus, I think she might be 82, and I would love for people to hear how it is that just only a decade ago, she began to be a runner and is now running marathons at this age. It's fascinating.
Wow.
So that's just a little tickler for the potential.
little tease I love?
Just the other day, I was over at the Y and overheard a conversation between two fellas who were talking about hip surgery. And one was saying he knew a lady, an 80-year-old lady who was a skier. She had hip surgery, and 1 month later, she was back skiing.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
That's our community.
It's fantastic.
That's our geezers.
No, it really is. I mean, when I first moved here, tennis was the thing that got me connected to people. And there's a fantastic tennis league, doubles league throughout the summer. And so many of those people that I play tennis with are retired. I mean, my landlord, who is 94 years old, is in the same league as I am.
Nice.
But I love it, right? Like, I get to be a retiree. I am living this beautiful life, and I get to be inspired by people who are still living their beautiful lives.
Yes.
And I love seeing that. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, Katie.
no, thank you. Thank you for
This has been
everything.
fun.
Yes. Well, we'll have to get lots of checkups from you as you leave.
We can do that.
I'll keep
Okay.
tabs on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecidaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.